Hey folks, this is Kelani. With patch 8.0 up on the PTR, you can start to get a glimpse of what your class is going to play like going into Battle for Azeroth. I expect we'll have a few fun weeks in the pre-patch getting used to everything, with Antorus still being our main raid of choice, but when the gates finally open up in August, we should have a decent idea of how things have changed and if we're going to like what's become of our beloved classes and specs. With that in mind, let's continue the class changes previews by finishing up Paladin. All that's left to look at for our holy guys and gals is the holy spec itself, so let's jump right in. Holy is obviously the healing spec for Paladins and has done incredibly well in most expansions so far, being one of the most sought after healing classes in the entire game for a good chunk of its lifespan. Honestly, I don't think that's going to change much going into Battle for Azeroth. Holy Paladins bring some very unique qualities to a raid and dungeon environment, which allow them to excel at single target healing both via tanks and for spot healing harmful debuffs, while providing decent heals to your raid, and they come chock-a-block with utility spells. I think you're still going to want at least one Paladin in your raid group after Legion is over, so let's have a look at their abilities. Flash of Light is a quick mana expensive heal which you can use to patch people up in a pinch. Spamming this will definitely lead you to mana problems if you go too crazy, but that's why we also have Holy Light, which is a slower, less expensive heal which actually heals for more than Flash of Light in Battle for Azeroth now, so we'll probably be making good use of Holy Light for both throughput and mana efficiency. Our signature ability is Holy Shock, which can either deal damage to your enemies or heal up your allies, depending on who you're targeting. Just don't accidentally smite a monster if your tank is about to die. Holy Shock also has a 25% additional chance to critically strike, which will be very important later on. One of the Holy Paladin's unique abilities comes with Light of the Martyr. They can use their own health to heal up allies instead of relying solely on their mana stores. You heal a target for about the same as Flash of Light, but you take 50% of the healing done as damage. It's not always ideal to trade your health to other players, but Light of the Martyr is instant, making it a fantastic tool for saving your allies from death long enough to get off a larger heal. Then we also have an AoE heal in Light of Dawn. Unleash a wave of holy energy to heal allies within 15 yards in front of you in a cone. Not a fantastic range, but your positioning will be very important, and if your group is all clumped up, you can usually hit all 5 targets easily. The last tool in our basic healing kit is Beacon of Light, another unique Paladin ability which allows them to basically heal 2 targets at once. Plopping Beacon on an ally, usually a tank, heals that person for 40% of healing done to other party or raid members. You're also not punished if your Beacon target is the only chap taking damage, because Flash of Light and Holy Light will actually refund 20% of their mana cost if you're targeting your beacon directly. Let's touch on passives really quickly, starting with our Mastery. Lightbringer increases the healing you do depending on your proximity to your targets, so the closer you are, the more you're going to heal for. Very important to keep in mind, and usually you'll find yourself humping the boss along with the melee to get those juicy heals on your tanks. We also have Infusion of Light. Holy Shock crits reduce the cast time of your next Holy Light by 1.5 seconds, or increase the healing of your next Flash of Light by 40%. Depending on the situation, you might favour one over the other, but it's a nice boost either way. Holy Paladin has quite a few tools at their disposal just in their base kit, which allows them to react and overcome a wide variety of problems they might encounter in dungeons, raids, or even PvP. But they also have some DPS abilities, like all healers do these days, to keep things interesting if no one needs healing. We get Judgment, which just deals damage to a single target and increases the damage they take from the next Crusader Strike or Holy Shock by 30%, so there's our second damage ability, Crusader Strike. We have 2 charges and it's just a simple empowered weapon swing. The last damage ability we have is Consecration, which provides you with a little bit of AoE damage over 12 seconds. Remember, you can also use Holy Shock offensively, so you have quite a few options to turn the tables on your enemies and bash in some skulls. We also have some cooldowns to increase throughput and get everyone in good health quickly. The first of these won't make much sense until we get to the talents, but Aura Mastery increases the potency of your chosen aura for 6 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. Then we have our good old trusty Wings. Avenging Wrath increases damage, healing and critical strike chance by 30% for 20 seconds, and Lay on Hands is your last ditch effort to saving a life. Heal an ally for your max health, which should be enough to bring them up to full health from the brink of death. Now, Holy Paladins also have quite a lot of utility abilities. It's one of the reasons why they'll almost always have a raid spot. Let's start with a good old Paladin Blessings. We have Blessing of Sacrifice, a 2-minute cooldown which reduces an ally's damage taken by 30% and transfers 75% of it to you for 12 seconds, or until it nearly kills you, whichever comes first. Still a very powerful external cooldown even with the drawbacks. Blessing of Protection provides a physical immunity to one of your allies for 10 seconds, and Blessing of Freedom grants an ally immunity to slow and root effects, and removes all similar effects already present, just in case they need to get out of the fire quicker, or catch up to the Frost Mage wailing on your entire team. We also have a standard cleanse to get rid of magic, poison and disease debuffs, Divine Protection for a personal damage reduction cooldown, reduce all damage taken by 20% for 8 seconds on a short 1 minute cooldown, and if that isn't enough we also have Divine Shield, become immune to all damage for 8 seconds. If you're in need of a quick movement speed boost, we also have Divine Steed, hop on your steed and ride for 3 seconds, as well as a single target 6 second stun in Hammer of Justice. So we have a lot of utility to help out our group in a variety of ways, as well as an extra stun to help along with crowd control and locking down those pesky powerful enemies. Let's have a look at the talents quickly, because there's a few changes in there as well, and depending on how you pick and choose your talents, you can play your Holy Paladin a little differently. The first row hasn't changed much, just a bit of a rearrangement. We have Crusader's Might. Crusader Strike reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock and Light of Dawn by 1.5 seconds, so weaving in those melee strikes can get you more and more uses of 2 of your powerful healing abilities. Bestow Faith is a delayed heal which activates after 5 seconds of being on an ally, and Light's Hammer gives you another AoE heal which doubles up as some AoE damage. Throw a hammer into the ground, healing and dealing damage for 14 seconds. Down a row we have Cavalier, which gives Divine Steed an extra charge. Unbreakable Spirit reduces the cooldown of Divine Shield, Divine Protection and Lay on Hands by 30%, and Rule of Law increases the range of all of your heals and the reach of your mastery by 50% for 10 seconds. Fist of Justice reduces the cooldown of Hammer of Justice for every judgment you throw out, Repentance gives you a single target long duration crowd control option, and Blinding Light disorients all enemies within 10 yards of yourself. Here we have our aura options. Devotion Aura has changed slightly, but should function in more or less the same way overall. Reduce damage to all allies within 10 yards by 10%, with diminishing returns for every ally who will benefit. So the more players you have, the lower the damage reduction. While Aura Mastery is active, all affected allies have 20% damage reduction. Aura of Sacrifice redirects 10% of all damage from allies within 10 yards to you, but you only take half the damage. That's only active while you're above 75% health, so be sure to keep yourself healthy. While Aura Mastery is active, 30% of damage is redirected and reduced by 75%, which is a pretty big change to the way Aura Mastery was interacting with Sacrifice. We'll have to see how this shapes up, because that's a very powerful AoE damage reduction ability now. Aura of Mercy heals 3 injured allies within 10 yards every 2 seconds, and while Aura Mastery is active you heal all allies within 10 yards and the healing is increased by 100%. Judgment of Light applies a debuff to targets of your judgment. Any ally who hits the target will be healed for a little amount. Holy Avenger increases your haste by 30% and healing of Holy Shock by 30% for 20 seconds. And Holy Prism fires a beam of light into an enemy or an ally. If you target an enemy, the prism also heals allies within 15 yards. And if you target an ally, the prism will deal damage to 5 enemies within 15 yards. So some nice choice with that talent. We also have a few changes as we're reaching the end. Sanctified Wrath causes Avenging Wrath to last 25% longer and also reduce the cooldown of Holy Shock by 50% for its duration. Avenging Crusader is a new talent and replaces Avenging Wrath, which increases damage of Crusader Strike, Judgment and your auto attacks by 30%. Crusader Strike and Judgment also heal up to 3 nearby injured allies for 250% of the damage they deal, which basically lets you go absolutely ham on your target and you heal your allies at the same time. This couples really well with Crusader's Might from the top row and honestly makes you feel more like a DPS than anything. I love it. The only problem I have is that this talent seems like it would heavily favour a two-handed intellect weapon, of which there aren't any in Battle for Azeroth. It's a sad time to be a Paladin. Then we also have Awakening, which is a legendary effect from Legion. Light of Dawn has a 15% chance to grant you Avenging Wrath for 10 seconds, which could end up being quite powerful. That's a better proc rate and longer duration than the legendary effect itself. On the last row we have Divine Purpose. Casting Light of Dawn or Holy Shock has a 20% chance to not trigger the spell's cooldown and make the next cast free. That's a nice little boost to the proc chance on that talent, and then we also still have Beacon of Faith, which basically allows you to have 2 Beacons of Light, but they're a little less efficient, and our final talent is Beacon of Virtue, which also hasn't changed. This gives Beacon of Light some downtime, but allows you to apply across 4 targets at the same time. A handful of changes in there are super interesting. I'm definitely going to have a lot of fun playing at being a DPS while healing. You're probably already in melee and probably already making some use of your DPS abilities, but being able to reduce the cooldown of your other spells and take a talent which turns you into a heal while DPSing machine is pretty wonderful. It's almost as if people enjoyed what Disc has become, so the dev team is spreading a bit of the love around. I doubt it's going to be amazing in progression rating, but I'm having a blast with it on the beta so far. You can really tune your talents towards dealing damage or healing, which is fun to play around with. Keeping everyone alive while beating at least the tank on damage is satisfying, on single targets anyways. I'm really interested to see where Holy Paladins will end up in Battle for Azeroth, because I know a lot of players were really disappointed with their throughput and healing potential from the raid testing. I think things are in a better spot right now comparatively, but numbers tuning hasn't even really begun, so I'm not too worried. The Holy Paladin kit is intact. They still have amazing utility and some unique powerful abilities they bring to the table, so even if they weren't the top healers, they're still going to be sought after, just like they always have been. I reckon they'll be in a fantastic spot in Battle for Azeroth. I don't have any worries about our healing Holy Crusaders. But that's it for Holy Paladins and for this video. What do you think about Holy Paladins going into Battle for Azeroth? Which healer are you most excited to play or play with next expansion? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. If you want to hop on that train, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.